we are excited to bring today's training to you. I think one thing when we talk to agents is anybody in this room getting a little tired of showing houses, presenting an offer to get beat out? Is anybody in this room, or is it just, yeah, I thought so, right? So what does everybody talk about right now? I see it on social media when I talk to agents, is everyone wants to know how they can get more listings. So what our goal is today is to help you get a little bit of a roadmap and maybe have you think a little bit different about your technique on how to get listings and create inventory.
Carl, has the market shifted? Is that why we need to think differently?
I think everything has shifted in the last 2 years.
Have the traditional means that we've used in the last couple years, are those still what works today?
It does.
It does. But today we're going to unpack some different things, give you guys some different strategies that maybe you're not implementing. And it's not about implementing all these different strategies, guys, but figuring out what works for you and going deep with one strategy at a time.
And I always say this, if you heard me speak before, everything we tell you today is not going to get you a listing. You're not going to walk out of here and the listing God fairy is going to drop a listing on your doorstep. So I know about half the room is probably going to leave, right? What happens is what you do with this information and the action you take, that's going to determine what happens to your listing inventory. There's a listing inventory shortage for agents who don't have listings. For agents that do, they don't have a shortage.
Correct.
So again, it's all about what you do and the action you take with the information.
Correct.
So why listings? Why do people want more listings? Do you spend more time with a seller or do you spend more time with a buyer? You spend more time with the buyer. So you're able to spend the same amount of time with more sellers than you are with one buyer. I always ask this, where do you get your best buyer leads from? Besides referrals.
Next.
Your listing
Bingo.
leads. All right? I always say too, the sign call is still one of the most powerful leads you could get in this business because it's somebody sitting in front of the house who knows the neighborhood, who's interested in that house. Has anyone ever taken an internet lead, met them at the house, and the internet lead goes, I don't even want to go in the house, and they drive off and you never hear from them again? Right? You don't get that with the listing leads. Has anyone here ever had that listing and you had what I call the spider web effect? You take that listing and it creates 4, 5, 6, 7 other sales for you just from that one listing? All right, I just want to make sure. I was like, oh, was it only me when I was an agent that happened? So listings create leverage, create opportunity, and could create income. Where typically with a buyer, you sell a house, you put them in your referral system, but you typically don't get all those cross sales unless they have something to sell, which we'll get into.
One other thing with listings is if you look at listings as your introduction to the market, it's your way to market yourself before they know you, right? They see your signs. Has anyone driven around and you see that same agent all over town? You make a left, you make a right, and it's their sign, right? I say listings are billboards. So it's a great way to market yourself, make your presence known in the market without having to, go spend money on the billboard, without having to mail. Those listings are your market. It's your marketing. It's your introduction to whatever market you're in. So those signs are so critical to becoming a magnet and attracting people to you because they see your listing inventory.
Right. January 2022, I've never seen listing inventory so tight. Does anyone agree with that statement? There was no listings. Let me ask you, do you think in Central Jersey, we're just going to use CJMLS because it's smaller. In CJMLS, do you think in 2021 there was more sales or less sales than 2020 and 2019? More sales. But what do we say is inventory's tighter? But there's still more sales. So the sales and the deals are out there, but if you look at the numbers, but everything's just a lot more competitive, right? And we want to go through some of the reasons it's more competitive. January, we saw a huge slowdown with the spike of COVID. Because what's happened is some sellers didn't want a lot of people that come through their house. And what do we do as a great job as realtors on social media? We show how to scare people about all the people that have to come in their house.
Carl, what do you mean by that?
Well, who here has seen the post on social media or might have done it where they take a picture of an open house or they talk about the 50, 70, 80, 100 showings that's going to happen through their house? Do you think that might turn off some people?
If you guys were sellers, would you want 50 people in your house in this day and time?
No.
So that has created a lower inventory. What else has happened is we've had the rise in mortgage rates. And a lot of people say to me, but Carl, shouldn't that be slowing down? I mean, shouldn't that be opening up inventory because of less buyers? So what's happening is every time the rate goes up, guess what happens to the buyer? They panic. Why? I need to get a house before the rate goes up again. So I'm willing to pay another $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 because I want the lower rate. So what's happening is every time they talk about rates bumping up, it's just creating more of a frenzy with the buyers, not less. So where are we going? Where is the market headed? What does it look like? So I was looking at the numbers. We're up about, for some areas, 25 to 35% pre-pandemic. I had the pleasure of being in the market in 2008, where inventory went down about the values went down about 30% in most areas around here. So let's just say 2008 happens again and the prices go down 30%. Where are we at? We're around pre-pandemic pricing. And I don't know about you guys, but in 2005, 6, 7, there was a lot of buyers buying houses with very low rates. You know what the very low rates were in 2008? 4.5. They're never going to get this low again. Now people hear 4.5, they're like, oh my God, I'm getting robbed. Olivier, what do you mean 4.5%? Right? In 2005, during that hot market, that was a good percentage. But Olivier, what type of mortgages did we see a lot back then?
We saw a lot of subprime mortgages and basically loans being given to people that really didn't qualify. I mean, you had a pulse, you got a loan. You worked at any job, you were making 6 figures on your loan application. And that's what caused 2008.
But how many offers are you losing because somebody was all cash? Because somebody had a bigger deposit?
Yep.
Somebody had stronger terms, they waived the appraisal, but they're putting the money down. It's a different ballgame than what we were looking at in 2008.
Exactly.
So I think we're going to see more inventory come on. You know why? I mean, we really just can't see less. I mean, some towns have 5 listings. We literally can't get lower inventory. And I have the pleasure of talking to a lot of agents, and all the agents I've been talking to, everyone's saying, hey, I got some stuff coming up, I got some stuff coming up. So we're going to see more inventory in the spring, but we're not going to see a slowdown in the immediate future of buyer demand.
Great. One thing I want to touch on about where we go, a lot of agents are very good at closing the listing appointment, getting the seller to sign on the dotted line. That's awesome. But if you don't help them with the where we go, if you don't focus on their next move, guess what? What do they do with their listing after they get multiple offers? Right. They freeze, they panic. Wait a minute, I don't have a place to go. Let's take it off the market. So guys, even the listing agents, you have to solve that problem. Where do we go? They're nervous about the future. Oh, I'll rent for a year. But what if I don't find something in a year? We're still in the same inventory crunch.
And what is the rental market like right now? So what's happening is people are thinking, yeah, I'll sell and go rent, and then their rent payment's higher than their mortgage payment. And they're like, well, we might as well stay where we are until things change.
Most of the withdrawals that I've seen or temporarily off the markets are due to the sellers getting sticker shock at the rent cost being higher than their mortgage or just nowhere to go. So you have to focus on that. If you want more listings, yes, you're great at closing the appointments, but you also have to fix the where do I go and have the solution to that.
In other parts of the country, like Las Vegas, Atlanta, where some of the biggest home buyers are financial institutions, hedge funds, and what else, they're buying the houses, and then they're buying the apartment buildings. They're controlling the market of rentals. So that is also holding back. Has anyone heard that from a seller? Like, hey, I would love to sell right now, but where do I go? Right? People are saying, I want to go to Florida. Well, guess that market's insane. So, it's going to be like this for a little bit. But I always say, too, is that's why if you have a buyer, we always talk about marketing our listings. This is the time to be marketing your buyers. I have a buyer looking for X, Y, Z, because marketing the buyer will help you create the inventory of someone who's looking to sell. So if I was in sales right now, I would really, really be doubling down on marketing my buyers, which everybody has right now.
Yep.
And what is another biggest factor in your listing inventory? NAR just released, there are more realtors in the industry today than ever before.
Yay!
Good way to put it.
Right? Has anyone here lost business because you had a client whose brother, sister's aunt's niece just got their license, and we know how busy you are.
Yeah.
We see how busy you are, and we want to give them a shot. Does that ring a bell to anybody? So that adds up too with the amount of agents that are in the business. That's going to cut into listing opportunities. Confidence. This is one of the biggest factors working with listings.
Carl, can I ask you a question?
Please. Oh, yeah.
Do you think working with listings is easy? Do you need to be confident? Because it's easy, right? You just put it in the MLS and it sells.
Ah, cake. Easy.
Why do I need confidence, Carl?
Yeah, it's a breeze.
Why do I need confidence?
Sellers never get upset.
No.
You give them a full price offer on the list price, they're happy.
Of course, always.
Of course. They like when somebody doesn't lock the back door and Fluffy gets out.
They don't care about the electric bill.
They don't blame
Leave
the
lights on.
yeah. They don't blame you. They blame the other agent.
No inspection issues ever, right?
Olivier, Fluffy got out to the backyard. If you don't mind, I would like for you to be at every showing, please. And could you do me a favor? There's a Swifter in the utility closet, so when they leave, do you mind Swifting?
No problem.
Because I've been asked that before. The reality is when you're carrying a big listing inventory, it is hard.
Yep.
You have to have thick skin.
Yep.
Me, Olivier, I guess we're glutton for punishment. Because when we were agents, we had a lot of listings. But if you aren't ready and wired for it and able to handle those complaints and put out fires, you're not going to enjoy having all those listings.
So you do need confidence. And remember, the sellers are paying the commission. They're writing that check. So they're hiring you, paying, and their expectations are through the roof. Like those examples are real. Go turn the heat down. Go turn the heat up.
Right.
Go make sure, who left the door unlocked? Why weren't you there for every showing? So it takes confidence because there's a lot of pushback. When you know this is the best offer and the seller's way out in Mars with their expectations, you have to be able to reel them in, right? You don't want to do all this work and the listing expires. So one of the skills you need is confidence. You have to deliver your CMA, your market analysis, with conviction. When the deal's about to die over a plumbing issue or what have you, you have to be able to coach that person through, and you need confidence for that.
And I always say this, the more confident you are in your listing presentation, the more confident you're going to be to get listings. Everyone says, oh, I'm confident with my listing presentation. But when you really peel it back, they're not. I always say you want to give everybody the same experience for all your listing presentations. We have done a lot of trainings on listing presentations. We'll do some more. But the more confident you are with your listing presentation process, that's right, I said process, the better you're going to be at getting listings.
And what Carl means by process is you can't go on a listing appointment and just talk at the sellers, right? You can't walk in, I'm Circle of Excellence Magenta, which is Carl's favorite color. Seller, that doesn't resonate with the seller. You can't walk in and talk about your brag book and how many homes you sold. That doesn't resonate well with the seller. Yes, they want to know that you're experienced and you've been down this road and you can guide them down this road, but you have to engage them. If you're talking at them, their objection could be over here, and you're talking about all of this stuff over here, right? Does everyone agree that it's not always price? Show of hands, participation. Does everyone agree it's not always your commission? Show of hands. Right? But if you walk in just talking and spewing and feature dumping all the great things in your tools and your marketing, it's not always that. What are some of the things that could be of concern to the seller?
Talk to them, like talk what they're going to do. What do they expect out of me?
Right.
Exactly. Expectations. What are your expectations in your agent? Anyone else? Timing. That's a big one, right? I have my new house being built. It's completed next week. I need to sell yesterday. Should have put it on, but wasn't ready, right? What about convenience? I don't want 50 people in my house. I have kids. I have to clean up. I got to get the dog out of the house, right? There's a lot of factors, so you have to ask questions. Your presentation should not be feature dumping, how many homes you sold, or leveraging just the brand. You need to engage them. You need to ask more questions than you spew out how great you are, and really find out what the challenges are, what they're trying to accomplish, and what's the biggest concern that they have with the sale of their home.
You know, Olivier, but let me ask you a question. Listen, I learned how to get listings off of YouTube, right? I mean, I hear so many people talk about it. What have you done in your past? What's your story that you're here talking about how to generate listings, and especially outside the box?
Yep, so I love to share my story. I started in 2008, so kind of around the time you started, Carl. And anyone here work in that era, 2008, when the market crashed, when they said it was the worst market ever? So I started. I worked with a lot of buyers in 2008, and right away I realized I did well with buyers, 2008, 9, but there was a little bit of a disconnect. And I did well with it, built my business, but I wanted to shift to sellers. Now, unlike Carl, I did try the REO route. I don't think I ever told you this. But for a month, it was April 2010, I stopped, called every bank, did all these applications, and tried to get REOs. I wound up getting one listing, but I had no deals, right? I spent the whole month, got one listing, and the listing came 3 months later, and I said, you know what? That's not my lane. But having sold a lot of distressed properties, my investors were turning around saying, hey, why don't you list this property? The market's gone up, I can make some money. And I realized, wait a minute, if I want to scale listings, I can either cold call, mail, farm, and just do all this stuff and wait and have all this heavy lifting. Or if I can build accounts with investors, guess what? They're repeat business. And I can do 7, 8, 9, 10 deals a year with an investor in listings if I can just find them stuff. So I went down this lane, and it really helped me scale. I enjoyed it because it was very easy working with investors, and I'll unpack a little bit of that later. But basically, I scaled a listing inventory with less than a dozen guys, where one of my last years of production, I sold probably 65, 70 listings. But I did work with buyers first. I realized that it wasn't my favorite thing to do, just because buyers were a little more warm and fuzzy, where I was like, hey, this house is equity, it makes sense, let's do it. And they're like, oh, I don't love it, right? Anyone get that? And I realized I needed more business to business, and the investor pool worked for me. But having the listings really shifted my insight to the business, because it allowed me to scale and do more. So then I just went all in on listings. So that's my story, Carl. I think some people here may not know your story.
I think most people heard it, but I'll tell it real quick again. It's April 2006. I was 25 years old. I got into the business. And I'm sitting there on my desk one day at Century 21 going, what am I going to do to make money? I was like, what mistake did I just make? So I tried to figure out what to do, and with some kind of guidance from some people, I decided that I was going to go into the distressed properties, because we started slightly seeing the shift in the market at the end of 2006. In 2007, I listed and sold 56 properties in my first calendar year in the business by going the route of REOs and distressed properties. I'll even share a little story. It might have been 2008, 2009, I had a listing in Roselle, New Jersey, and a young, eager buyer's agent, Olivier Lewis, made an offer on the property. Right? You never know what's gonna happen and where your world's gonna go. And I like to tell this story because Olivier sold them a $60,000 house in Roselle that I had listed, which I think flooded during the process. He ended up listing that house a few years later and selling them an $800,000 house in Mendham.
Correct.
Right?
Carl, thank you for bringing that up because, agents come into my office, especially the new ones a week in, and they're like, hey, Olivier, I know what you did. I want to just be a listing agent. But that reinforces, I did a lot of sales as a buyer agent before, right? I learned the business. That's what gave me the confidence to go out and get listings and work with investors and work with builders and just learn the business. But you have to kind of graduate to being a listing agent. Can you do it out the gate? Yes, you have to be really, really good to do it, but without the experience, you're not gonna have the confidence. So I say that not to discourage anyone that's day one and wants to go after listings, but the more you know, the more confident you'll be, and that will help you. And it pays. All your buyers are future sellers. You just have to stick around for the lifespan of them becoming sellers, right? And we'll talk about that a little later.
So let's talk about some of the traditional ways people generate listings. There's really not that many avenues. You got your FSBOs, you got expireds, you got your past clients, you have mailers. We're not going to talk about any of that today. Right? We've done trainings on all these different techniques. I'm not saying these techniques don't work. I mean, your referral and your database is always going to be one of your number one ways to generate business. But what we want to do today is either go through something and put a little twist on it or give you different ideas on how you can generate listings. I'm going to say don't come out and try to do all 5 of these things. Maybe just pick one that you think is going to work for you and double down on it.
And these are all strategies that we've done or working with people around us.
Right. First things first, who here has a Google profile, business profile? Good. Everyone should be raising their hand, right? The Google reviews are the new Zillow reviews. And what do I mean by that? 5 years ago, I was standing up, I was telling agents, hey, clients are gonna go to Zillow, they're gonna check out your reviews. Who here ever bought something off of Amazon? Come on, it's a pretty dumb question, right? What happens when you buy something off of Amazon? What do? Do you read the reviews? All right? You read the reviews, you get the feedback. Guess what clients are doing? Even clients who were referred to you through somebody that you know.
Yep.
They are checking out your reviews. They're Googling your name. Right? So Google reviews are a great way to generate that social proof. And Google's reviews over the last year has gone through a massive, massive, massive change. Yep. So Google reviews will help you rank higher organically when people are searching in towns and areas. It will give you that social proof and make you credible. So you also want to be there to be ahead of the curve. Some things you don't want to do with your Google reviews. You don't want to send out your Google reviews to everybody and say, hey, review me and I'll review you. Has anyone ever done that? Or been in a group where they say, hey, review me, I'll review you? Google will flag it. You don't want to you don't want somebody to come over and say, hey, I'm going to have a Google review party. Everybody come over and write reviews on your phones off my Wi-Fi. Google will flag that. And you know what else Google does when they flag it? Let's just say I send Tess a Google review. She does the Google review. Tess sees that she did the Google review, but Google flags it. Guess who doesn't see it? Everybody else. How do you think Tess is going to feel when I go back to her and say, hey, Tess, do you mind the Google review didn't go through? Would you mind doing it again? When she sees it, do you think she's going to want to do it again? No. How many times have you sent somebody a Zillow review and it doesn't go through and you get frustrated? So with the Google reviews is you have to make sure you're sending it to your past clients, that they're doing it on their cell phone, their computer, their whatever else. You don't want to get into a Google review party, like, hey, you know, here's my client appreciation party, do me a favor, everybody give me a Google review, because you will get flagged and they won't appear. Used to a year ago, you could send it to whoever, your mother, your cousin, your kids, whatever, and you could get the Google reviews, but Google is now scrubbing them because they're putting so much emphasis on it.
Less subject to change too, right? Last year, does everyone remember the one real estate portal where your reviews stopped showing up? Yeah? Well, Google's not going to do that. Google is such a big search engine. They need the reviews. They want to compete with the Yelps. Everyone's using it. It's less subject to the volatility of real estate search engines that may pull the plug, or they're changing their algorithm or something, and your reviews come off. So that's another reason why.
And the fun part of this business is I'll be up here in 3 years being like, remember when I told you to get Google reviews? Now you want to get reviews here, right? Because that's how this business changes.
Yep.
But I would be really focusing on Google reviews. So let me ask you, we did a mastermind here last March.
Yeah, March.
Right, upstairs. Who here was at the mastermind? Just raise your hands. Okay. I talked about Google local service ads then. And I said, if you're not on it, you need to get on it. It is now taken over.
Yep.
It is blown up. I'll show you what I mean. So Google local service ads is a way you could pay to get featured on Google. So I'll just show you little things about it. So I Googled here, this is a true screenshot, best realtor in Philadelphia. Who here was at our top agent panel in September? Right? My good friend out of Philadelphia, Maria Quattrone, she's up there, #1 on Google ads. And you can see here, I know it might be a little tough, there's a green check mark that says Google screened. Maria Quattrone, she has 413 reviews. Whoa, hey, clicker. Sorry.
No problem.
She has 413 reviews with 4.8 rating, 17 years in business. She has 4 times the amount of reviews of everybody else up there.
Yeah.
So this is what happens. You see, too, there's hours. So I must have did this at about 8 o'clock last night. I procrastinate, all right, if you connect the dots. So it says here it's open till 10 p.m. So with Google local service ads is you actually have to apply to get on, and you become Google verified. Google guarantees that you provide service. And then you rank up top. You have to provide the E&O insurance. You have to provide your real estate license. There is a screening process. So every time somebody calls you off of that, you get charged. Kind of like Google Ads. You'll get charged. You set a monthly budget with how much you rank. I know people who are doing this, and they're getting come list me calls. I talked about this last year, and I said, you need to get on this now, because what's happening is Google is going to shut this down in certain territories when they get enough people. Yep. Even bolder prediction, what's going to happen is, who here has ever heard of HomeLight? Does anyone here know who owns HomeLight? I'm going to give you a hint. Google. So my theory is eventually they're probably going to start making referral fees instead of making you pay monthly, because they'll probably make more money, but that's down the line. But what's happening is if you're Googling this, this is how you get up to the top with these screened ads. And like I said, these are come list me leads. So what happens is, why does she say that she's open till 10 p.m.? Google has algorithms that ranks how you pick up the phone calls. So if you're saying you're open up 24/7 and somebody calls you at 2 o'clock in the morning and you don't pick up because you're sleeping, you get dinged in your performance. So you want to set the hours because you want to realistically be able to answer the phone during those hours. Also, what happens with the Google local service ads is you might get calls that say, hey, I'm looking to rent. You could dispute these calls and not get charged for the calls because it wasn't a sales call. So, and you have profiles. And I always say with the profile is you want to put a good pic, like a real professional picture, and then you want to do something where it's like, you're doing a community event, something for the town, something that humanizes you. Other things you can't do is they want a licensed agent picking up the phone. Period. If they find out that you have some team member, an assistant picking up the phone, they'll block you. I mean, Google they figure things out pretty quick.
Yep.
So Google local service ads have been producing very good results for a lot of agents. And it was new when I was talking about it last March, but now it's not so new. And a lot of people have caught on.
Yeah, and I'll touch on how impactful Google is. How many people here, show of hands, when you open up your browser, whatever you use, Chrome, Firefox, it's Google? How many people here? It's most people in the room.
Right.
Would you think most of your clients and consumers are also on Google? So when they type in best realtor or top realtor in East Brunswick, Hamilton, Cranford, et cetera, don't you think they're gonna just pretty much go to the Google service ads when there's X amount of reviews and ratings and everything else? That's how powerful Google is. Love it or hate it, that's what everyone's using. Meet them where they are.
And before 200 people ask me how to set up their Google local service ads, I'll give you a hint. Google how to set up Google local service ads. There's plenty of tutorials out there, because I'm gonna admit right now I can't help 200 people set up their Google local service ads at one time. But there's plenty of information out there on how to do it.
Yep.
But this has been, people have been getting massive results. And I think there's gonna be a time where Google will shut down people getting into the party.
Yep.
Right? And I know when I was 20 and the red rope came out and I got cut off from going to the party, I wasn't too happy. So you won't be happy yourself. So again, Google local service ads, and we'll try to help you with it.
Yep.
Does that make sense to any questions on this? This is pretty complex, but pretty easy.
Is there a way to bring the Zillow reviews
No.
into the test reviews?
Nope. Nope. That's why I'm saying now if I would be directing getting Google reviews.
Shift it to Google. Shift most of them to Google.
Right, because you just can't copy paste your Zillow review or pull it in. There's no API. You got to remember, Google looks at Zillow as a competitor for traffic. So they're not going to they don't bring it in.
And they want authentication. So they want to make sure it's authentic.
And on top of this too is, again, if I was an agent in production, what I would be doing too is, you see under here when you Google best realtor in Philadelphia, oh, stupid clicker, sorry. Best realtor in Philadelphia, there's ads that come up.
There we go.
Here, ad. What's number one? HomeLight. What's number two? My Agent Finder. All these are referral companies. So if I was focusing on a couple towns, if I just wanted to be in certain towns in Middlesex, Mercer, Union, Essex County, is in those towns, I would set up Google ads. And this is how, before anyone asks me how to set up a Google ad, I have no idea. When I tell you I have no idea and I've never done it, but I've gone on Fiverr.com and I've paid somebody a pretty low amount who knows how to do it to set it up. It's amazing what you can get on Fiverr.com. Fiverr. Right? And you can just pinpoint those towns. So if someone's Googling, best in this town, best in that town, you could probably get yourself to rank on the ads. Does it cost money? Yes. But your other alternative on Google is to do SEO. And SEO is a very long process. And the truth is, your SEO is probably never going to rank better than Zillow, Trulia. They have it locked. But local service ads and Google ads are a great way to get on top of the Google search. And another great way to do it is if you do a video and you put it on YouTube. Who owns YouTube? Google. What's the second largest search engine in the United States behind Google?
YouTube.
YouTube. Did you say Bing? I'm a little disappointed in that. Come on. I'm just kidding. So YouTube is the second biggest search engine. So they own it. So if you do a video and you write best agent in East Brunswick, best agent in Hamilton, best agent in Cranford, and you get people to engage with it and like it and push it, it can also help you rank on Google. I know I just unpacked a lot. Are there any other questions on this strategy before we move forward? Ashley?
Before, the Google reviews were only for businesses, weren't they? Did it change to now where you can be an individual?
Well, it's a business profile as a realtor. All right.
All right.
Any other questions before we move on?
So everyone uses your office as a thing? So that
I mean, you got to use the office address.
I started it and I got stuck there with the office where like now I'm saying that your office is my business.
Well, because you have to put the office address to be compliant.
I know, but that's where I kind of got stuck. Because they said this office address is already taken.
I mean, I'm not sure. Maybe I could take a look for you because we do have multiple people under our address on business reviews. So, and we're practicing this. Like our mortgage company, I mean, we have like 75 Google reviews and rank on organic searches in our areas. I mean, I just did it myself. It's not very hard. You just got to kind of get in there and start playing with it. And if you get stuck, Google it.
Yeah. One thing you might want to do is try a different unit number, right? Different suite number, because then it's a different address.
Or write out suite or number 23 or something like that. All right, any other questions on the Google local service ads? Or the Google in general?
Move on.
Is that, right.
So when somebody, if you set this up, and you don't have,
It's a process. It's a good reason to reach out back to your past clients. Hey, thanks for doing that annoying Zillow review for me. Do you mind doing it on Google now? But it's a process. It's a hassle, right? It's good to have reviews in all these type of places, but it can get cumbersome to the consumer. But yes. No. Question was, can you link your Zillow to your Google reviews? I mean, you could put a link that goes to your Zillow page, but you can't shift the reviews over.
All right.
The single most important strategy in content marketing today is video, whether it's video on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, or YouTube. The content you need to be thinking about creating and marketing on social for your business is video, period. Gary Vee. Has anyone ever heard of Gary Vee in this room? Because I could talk about video all the time, but Gary Vee is a pretty good, and Gary Vaynerchuk, if you don't know who he is, Google him. Gary Vee saying that this is the biggest strategy you can have in your business right now. I don't know if any of you have heard me say this before, or Olivier.
Yep. Yep.
But Olivier?
So, you don't need a production studio for video, right? I think that's one of the roadblocks, mental blocks that we have as agents. Well, I gotta get this, I gotta get my hair done, I gotta have the right backdrop, like, we're not a beach town, but I want it to look great in the background. You don't need the production. People like authenticity, right? They want the real you. They want the blunders. The Carl messing with the clicker, that was almost intentional, right? Because that's real. That's what happens in the real world. When it's too much of a production, it's not really you, and people could see past that. So your Android, iPhone, whatever you're using, that's your production studio. Our coach always says, your crappy video is better than someone's non-video or absent video. So don't let that roadblock get in the way. Get video done. The way we love this one. Well, I don't sound the same, and the way you sound and look on video is who you are in real life. I see everyone laughing.
Whether you like it or not.
That's the reality, guys. And I hear agents, well, I don't want to play it back, then let it rip. Put it out there. I can't watch myself. That's who you are. That's who you are. And just if you could get the roadblock and the mental block out of the way, guys, people know you for who you are. And it's just on video. That's the only difference. So don't let that get in the way of doing video. It's who you are.
not sure if you're encouraging us or scaring us.
I'm encouraging you. I'm encouraging you. You know that.
I'm going to share my story real quick.
Go ahead.
When I got into real estate in 2006, my old broker said, I want you to sit down, write down a list of everybody you know, write them a postcard and mail it to them with your business card and letting them know you were in real estate. You wanna know how long that exercise took me? 10 minutes, because number one, I didn't know anybody who could buy a house. And if I mailed that to my friends, I would have just been trolled. So I just really mailed it to nobody. But right now, new agents have such an advantage because you don't have to sit there and do that, because where is your network? Where are your past clients? It's all on social media, right? And you can't just be 100% work on your social media, right? Just posting new listings and sales, because people tune that out. You gotta be authentic. So what's great about video and posting it on your social, it lets you connect with a lot of people at once. It gives you scalability. Gary Vee always says that when creating video and content, it makes you the authority on a subject matter. So you need to be the authority to your network and your friends and your referral base and people in that community. And how do you do that? Is through video.
And if you don't meet your clients where they are, someone else will. It's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. Everyone's on social media. You need to keep in touch that way, and you need to be in front of them that way. It's the easiest way to get in front of a large amount of people.
From a business practice standpoint, based on your experience, in rough numbers, percentage, video standpoint, percentage-wise, how much, real estate related, and how much where I ate yesterday, or dog stories, or
Good question. Good question. So you should have a mixture. You should have probably a third of it be educational, a third of it be entertainment, which is the what I ate yesterday, and a third of it be motivational, right? Listen, when I post about my family, kids, my whatever sisters, I get more engagement than anything because people want to know me, right? No one wants to be sold. I always give this analogy. If you have a friend in a car business and every single day they are posting the deal of the day, would you not tune them out and mute them? No disrespect to any car people here, but right, you can't be the realtor where it's just sold, just listed. Just imagine if your friends posted every Friday, I got paid today, I got paid today, I got paid today. That's what we're doing when we're putting just sold, and that's your whole timeline, right? So you have to mix it up. You have to engage them with who you are. You have to be a person, otherwise you're a bot, you're a real estate bot. No one wants that. They're not going to engage with you. They're going to mute you. They're going to unfollow you, but still be connected. And you think, hey, I have 1,000 friends. No, you have 100. Right?
And what's the key? What is marketing? Like really, at the end of it, what is marketing? It's telling a good story. I was watching the Super Bowl commercial, and all I heard was the Sopranos music, the recap of the drive. I don't even know what the ad was. Yeah. Right? The next day I realized it was an ad for an electric truck.
Yeah.
But what did they do marketing-wise? Is they told you a fantastic story that resonated with you. I always say, you should never just post a just sold with the person holding something. Tell the story, tell the journey. People engage with stories and that. If you don't know how to, if you get stuck on how to do it, is just follow what Olivier and I are posting. I posted yesterday to get people to register for today's training. I didn't say, hey, just come to my training, it's gonna be awesome. I told this journey about my story, about being a listing agent, and how we're gonna share that and pass on some of that knowledge to whoever attends today. So marketing is telling people what it's like to work with you before they actually work with you. Have you ever had a client say, if I knew how easy the process was working with you, I would have done it sooner?
Yeah.
So what I say to you is not shame on them, shame on you for not marketing well enough to let them know what it would be like to work with you before they work with you. Does that make sense to everybody?
And there's so many great stories and journeys for our clients without getting too specific and exposing too much. You can tell a story that it took them years. You can tell a story that, they went through multiple bids. You can tell whatever the journey was, and people read into that. It's like a novel, right? Oh my gosh, that was amazing. You helped them so much. And that's what connects you to your database, et cetera. So just whenever you can, I'm not saying don't post to just solds or just listeds, but you do have to mix them up with you, your family, your friends out. You have to be inspirational, but tell a story around it and not just like another one sold or another one listed. Give a story, engage.
All right, Olivier, sounds good, but I don't know what to do. You know, I have the camera in front of me, I have the phone in front of me, and I freeze. Does that happen to anyone in this room? All right, this is the real secret. Come on, we're all friends here. Who's took a video, rewatched it, deleted it, did another one, watched it, deleted it, and then you just never did the video? Come on, who's done it? I can't just be me, because I've done that a million times. I'm like, oh, I missed a spot on my head when I was shaving. Come on, we're all human, right? It's happened to all of us. So you just have to get over that fear. And we've done so much production, professional production videos. Some of the best engaged videos I have is me in a baseball hat outside the gym at 5:30 in the morning going live. So Olivier, I don't know what to create. What should I do? I mean, what can I do that sellers might care about, that could get them attracted to me?
I'm glad you say that, because people think video is going to attract buyers. No, you can target your video to sellers, right? Educational. Who here at their house gets mailers of just listed, just sold? I get them all the time. I actually save them. I have a drawer full in the office. But who here is getting real market snapshots, updating them on the market? Do you see the difference for a seller? Telling them that you just listed 123 Main Street and it sold for $300,000, that's a 3-bedroom ranch, and I have a 4-bedroom colonial, doesn't really resonate with me, right? It's not my market, it's not my home, it's not my value. But if you're giving market updates, in Jamesburg today, 30 homes sold last month, average price was $450, 29 new listings, 15 days on market, that resonates with the market.
What do sellers care about? Yeah, what else is selling around them,
Yep.
right? What's the comp for their house?
Yep.
You know, they think it's $100,000 more, but that's a whole nother story, right? But that's what sellers want.
Yeah. And does everyone agree that sellers want a local agent that knows their market? How's a way to demonstrate that you're a local agent and you know the market? Feature businesses, support local businesses. That makes you hyper-local. We have 2 agents here. I love this story. I probably told it before to some of you in here. 2 agents here went to lunch, had a RE/MAX badge. Owner of the restaurant says, oh, you're an agent, I want to see a house. They're like, oh, let me give you the info. No, I already looked it up. I want to see the house. They showed the house, I think that evening. $800,000 later, they close, right? Hyper-local. Then, here's the fun part. They come to the office and they're like, guys, you guys have to eat at this restaurant. It is the best restaurant in Cranford. I'm like, yeah, of course, with a sale of $800,000, of course you guys are going to support it, right? But that's the story you want to post about, helping local restaurants, you know, supporting this business in town. If there's any hardware stores, that gives you the hyper-local feel and connects you to the community.
We have a good friend up in North Jersey. Some of you know him. He's been on our top agent panel, Chopper Russo. He's got one of the top teams in the state, and one of the reasons he does is he's so hyper-local with the businesses and the community, and he actually does a business appreciation event. So he takes all the local business owners that they do business together, and he hosts a dinner and everything, and he invited me. I said, hey, Chopper, why do you do this? He goes, I promote them, they promote me. He goes, I can tell you how much money I got in return from just these businesses. So just think about this. You know, you're promoting the business. Who here has driven past a new restaurant opening up in town, and right away you're looking it up, you want to know information on it? Or think about it, you can get then you go on social and you see somebody interviewing that chef, and then you want to go in. It's just making you the expert in the area. Somebody knows the area. We have agents in our office, some are in this room, I won't call them out. I could give them an address of a property in their town. They could tell me what color the siding is and what the shutters are. It's actually scary. Like, how do you know that? Because I just know that town. Do you think that's something that a Zillow or iBuyer or the internet can compete with? Right? These national companies that are trying to buy houses and sell houses and whatever the case might be, what one advantage do we have on them? is they can't be the #1 resource in every single town in the country, right? But we can be. So you're promoting these businesses, you're putting it on your social, you're emailing it out to your past clients, you're getting in front of people as the expert in that town, and you're also creating an advocate for somebody who's going to refer you business as well. You guys seen how this all connects?
Anyone ever like befriend the owner of whatever it is, car wash, barbershop, whatever it is? You befriend them, you support their business so much. How many of you have gotten referrals from them because of that? There you go, bunch of hands in the room. So that's why you want to not only support the local businesses, review them, video them, interview them, right? It will reciprocate. Don't do it for that reason, but it will come naturally. Town events, big way to gain exposure. Again, it's being part of the community. You want to build a magnet, you want to be the go-to. The more you do in a town, the more people see you, you build what I call a magnet. People will be drawn to you. It's not one thing, it's all these little pieces of the puzzle. So when there is a town event, sponsor it.
Who's deathly afraid to go live on Facebook? I remember the first time I went live, me and my phone had to stare down for about an hour. And then finally I'm like, come on, Carl, this is ridiculous, just do it, right? What happens when someone goes live? You guys know this because you get it. You get the notification that somebody's live.
Yep.
Who's it notifying? All the people in your database? Right, you go live, you're at the town event, you're there. I mean, we have so many agents that just dominate towns because they are the go-to person in that town because they are the expert. And you shouldn't be afraid to go live. It's not that scary. I did it the other day for the Super Bowl in our Facebook group, and it was upside down. I was like, well, it never gets easier. So I had to do a second take. That's life. It's okay to be real, especially in a world where you go online a lot and it doesn't seem to be.
And one other thing you can do with video is seller tips. Address the issues the sellers have, right? We talked about it earlier. Sellers are fearful. Where am I going to go? I don't want the line of 50 people walking through my house. I can't find something. I need to get the equity out of here to be able to put the money down on another, right? If you guys explain this stuff, your video will be geared towards sellers. Guess what it's going to generate? Seller leads, seller inquiries, sellers DMing you questions. What's the right time to sell? When should I put it on the market? What do you think my home's worth? Right? But you have to gear your video towards sellers. So seller tips, how to prepare your home, when's the best time, what's going on in the market.
And don't be so salesy.
Yeah, make it casual.
Right? Like, it doesn't have to be every time, like, hey, and if you're thinking of anybody looking to buy or sell, think of me, call me, right? Just put the content out there and let it sit. Let it become what they call evergreen. It's going to be there. But you don't always want to just be, like, pitching at the end of it. You don't always have to have a call to action.
Yeah. Kind of like us today, Carl. We didn't even rehearse this, but we're bantering. Right?
Bantering. Like I talked about, video will make you the local leader, and it also is going to show that you're different than other agents. If you go in and meet with somebody, be like, we leverage video, like, well, I've never seen you do a video.
Yeah.
I always say you got to show people what you do, not tell them what you do.
Your marketing should speak for you. So if you're doing the videos, people will see you. They've heard you, right? We have an agent here, joined our office, and he said to me, the reason I'm joining is your signs were everywhere. And I know we're talking about video, but it's the same thing. If you have enough video online, people will find you. You're hashtagging Cranford, Hamilton, East Brunswick, whatever, and that video will pop up. You're putting it on YouTube, guess what? When they're looking for realtors in East Brunswick, your video it's going to draw people to you.
You know what's good about video too? It's free.
Yeah.
We did a video challenge last March.
Roughly, yeah.
Did anyone here do the challenge? Did anyone here get a lead from the challenge? Oh, come on. I know people told me they did.
Yeah.
Now everyone gets shy. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, it wasn't March. It must have been May. Right around there.
Either way.
Either way.
Yeah.
A free lead.
Yeah.
All you have to do is step outside your comfort zone.
Yep.
And you just got to be consistent with it.
Yep.
I think we went through a lot of this already.
Yep, address their concerns, where am I going, COVID concerns, inconvenience, et cetera. So just, there's plenty of content. And even if you Google 52 real estate terms, that's content for sellers. There's plenty of content out there if you need content for video. So let's switch gears to distressed properties.
So we're going to talk a little bit about, would you like me to talk about the distressed properties?
What's first?
I
REOs
know.
or short sales? We're
I
going to split
kind of
this
combine.
up.
I know things or two about them.
All right, all right.
So the REO properties, do you think REO properties are going to become more prevalent or less prevalent than what we saw in the last 2 years? Yep, more. You know why? Because they were non-existent in the last 2 years.
Yep.
I'm still very in touch with a lot of REO national people. And when COVID hit and all the moratoriums, excuse me, if anyone saw my post about my speeching problem as a child, I just had that happen right now. So with the moratoriums and everything, that they literally shut down the sheriff sale process. They shut down evictions. They shut down the sheriff sales. So what was happening is there was all this inventory that was sitting there, nothing could happen, but now that that's lifted, we are starting to see an increase again in REOs and short sales. And just in case anyone in the room is not completely sure, a short sale is basically the foreclosure process before the sheriff sale date. The sheriff sale date is the actual process of the property going from foreclosure to the owner, transferring back to the bank. Does that make sense to everybody? So the REOs is the after, the short sales is the before. So what happened to me is I started doing a lot of REOs. I'm going to give you guys the secret of how I got REOs. Right? This is the secret that people are charging hundreds and thousands of dollars to tell you. Number one, I worked. Nothing was given to me. I used to go to the sheriff sales Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I would go to the sales because they weren't online, and I would write down the results of the sales. 123 Main Street went to Bank of America. I'm going to date myself a little bit. 123 Main Street went to Countrywide. 124 went to Washington Mutual. I would track the sales, and then you know what I did? You guys ready? This is the big secret. I cold called the bank. I said, hi, my name is John. I live at 127 Main Street. I saw that this property just went back to sheriff's sale. I would really like to speak to somebody about the property. I didn't say I was a realtor. I wasn't lying. I was just, getting around the gatekeeper. And then I would get the right person on the phone that would make the decisions. And I would say, hey, Olivier, I was told by Joan that you're the person in charge of foreclosures for New Jersey. Is that correct? Yes. Fantastic. I'm actually an agent that handles REOs in New Jersey. I would love to send you some information. In fact, 123 Main Street just got foreclosed on, went back to your bank. I did you a favor. I drove past the property. It's already vacant. I would like to send you some pictures. Would that help you? You see how I ended it? Would that help you? I didn't ask, can you help me?
You didn't right away ask for the listing, Carl?
No. And he would say sometimes, if Olivier was the asset manager, say, listen, I already have an agent that property is going to be handled by. No problem, Olivier. I just wanted to see if I could help you. And maybe in the future, if I see another property, is there an opportunity that I could possibly work with you and show you what I can do? That's it. And I got into banks, and what happens is it's a small world. One of the asset managers would leave, go to another bank, say, hey, Carl, I really liked working with you. It's a relationship business. I used to find out about the asset manager. I knew their kids' names. I knew their spouses' names. I used to send little congratulation cards if they got a promotion, something like that. Because I wanted to stand out on a list of 200 agents why they should give that asset to me and not Eric.
You're also known as the Cookie Monster.
Yeah, so some of these people in this room have experienced this. And when I would send the initial conversation, I would send them a tin of cookies for $30. It would have the brand on it, my name, my contact information, and I would mail them the cookies. You know why I did that? Because how many people do they talk to and hung up the phone, and they don't remember them right after they hang up the phone, right? They basically brush you off the phone. So I got their address, I sent them cookies. I can't tell you how many times I would get a phone call saying, I got your cookies, thank you. Oh, by the way, I just got a property that came in Sayreville. Can you handle it? Oh, sure, I can handle it. But that's what I did to build my REO inventory. And I always had a large REO inventory because I never just dealt with one bank. I would do this for multiple banks because the only thing that happens in this business that they're certain of is that there's change. Because this bank, there was banks called IndyMac. And I'll tell you this quick story. I'm out to eat with my dad in 2008. Literally, you see people running into IndyMac banks in California to pull their cash out like it was the Great Depression because the bank was going under. I remember eating my steak going, well, there goes that client. Right? I dealt with all these other banks, Washington Mutual, Sun, even the names, Fremont Investment and Loans, all these banks that are no longer here. But I always had a large REO inventories because I never put my eggs in one basket. And that's why I always tell people too, you don't want to put all your eggs in one lead source. Or you want to have 2 or 3. You want to have that balance. But that's how I built the REO business. I mean, that's the quick 30-second story or 2-minute story of how I did it. And we've done other REO trainings. I mean, I do whole trainings just on REOs, which we'll do again. But that's how I got into it. You know, I never fell in. A lot of people are like, oh, I do all these BPOs to try to get an REO listing. To me, the time you're spending on doing those BPOs and the return you're getting, to me, is a deal breaker. Because I know because a lot of these agents would do my BPOs for my listing. Like, you're not getting the listing. It's already mine. So what happened in 2011, there was a moratorium stopping short sales. REOs. There was this is when Dodd-Frank came along, and it was called the robo-signing, right? That banks were signing off these deeds and documents, and they basically shut it down. So I was going from 30 properties a month to 4 properties a month. And I was like, man, am I bored? I'm like, 4 properties, I could do this, no problem. I had systems, the team built out, everything ran itself. So what am I gonna do? I said, well, I already know how to deal with the banks on the back side. I might as well figure out how to deal with them on the front. So I started going after short sales. You know what I loved about short sales was I didn't get pushback on price. I didn't get pushback. I didn't have to do open houses. I never got asked to do a broker open when I started listing a bunch of short sales. I was like, this is like a dream come true.
No commission objections.
No commission objections. So I knew what the banks would look for. I know what documents they required. So I'm like, how do I get short sale listings? Because I remember I got my first short sale listing. I'm like, this is great. Because with REOs, is what they don't tell you is, you know what else you do when you're an REO agent? You're a free property manager. You're making sure the lawns are cut. You're making sure winterizations are done, de-winterizations. I've spent many of days in courtrooms. I had a warrant out for my arrest because of an REO property. And I went to I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm like, I'm a realtor. Right? I was in Pennsauken once, meeting somebody, and I was looking through the windows, and the next thing I saw, there was 4 cop cars surrounding me with guns pulled. It's like, I'm just a realtor. Like, oh, we saw you snooping around. Someone called the cops. But with the short sales, we had a process, so we learned how to market it. Remember before when we talked about Google Ads? I set up a website for short sales, and I promoted it through Google Ads through the state of New Jersey. We were able to get our pages to rank high on Google. We were taking 10 short sale listings a month, with people calling me, come list. And we had a system down. I was in and out of the house in an hour with everything. Hand the file off, on to the next. We were a well-oiled machine. I didn't work nights, I didn't work weekends. But it was all because we built out the system around it. So we did that. We did mailers. We would mail to pre-foreclosure lists. We had it so dialed in that I knew where every single dollar I spent on generating short sale leads, I knew what my return was. And I never had to ask the seller once, where did you get my contact information from? Because by the time they were contacting me, they were either calling a tracking phone number or sending an inquiry through a website where I knew exactly where it was coming from. I mean, I could really geek out on this stuff, but I learned how to market. I learned how to write really good copyright. And what I would do is I would mail to high-end REOs, short sales. In 1 year, we did about 60-something short sales. The cheapest one was $30,000 in Riverside, New Jersey. And the most expensive one was $1.1 million in Interlaken. But it was just setting up the marketing and setting up the system. We had somebody that negotiated the short sales. I was maybe on 3 or 4 third-party authorization forms. We had reviews, we had videos, we had everything. We had a built-out system. So those built-out systems that I learned from building out my REO portfolio, we took and shifted on how to build out our short sales. And I know a lot of people are probably thinking, like, I want nothing to do with REOs and short sales. And there was a lot of agents like that. So you know what I used to tell those agents? No problem. You have a short sale, I'll be happy to pay you a referral fee for it. No problem. What do you want? 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever you want. I'll take it.
Carl, let's unpack that a little bit.
Sure.
Anyone here ever do a short sale and said, I am never going through this again? You have? Just one person? So everyone here likes processing short sales? All right. So processing a short sale is not a fun task. But what Carl means by having a process and systems is he took the short sale listing, passed it on to a team of an attorney that had a team that would process it. You literally become a mortgage processor. It's a full-on application. It takes time. The bank will email you, we need this document in 48 hours, and you gotta stop what you're doing and chase down the seller. Carl wasn't involved in any of that. Is that correct?
I mean, a little bit. It's not making it look that easy.
So that's what sometimes discourages agents from short sales, because I processed a few in my day, and it was just an administrative laundry list of tasks. Like, if you like paperwork, process a short sale. But if you get a team, we have like a couple attorneys that really handle short sales well, you take it, you pass it on to them, and they will do the bulk of the short sale negotiations, the back and forth for paperwork. That's really the biggest hurdle, right? It's just you don't want to be the administrative person chasing down the seller for that one updated pay stub.
And the reason I want to unpack this is because I did nothing special. I didn't have a magic wand. An REO asset manager didn't call me one day and say, hey kid, would you like to get in the REO business? I'm going to give you 100 listings. Sure. What did I do? I called. I used cold calling to get into REOs, and I used marketing through Google and direct mail to get into short sales at a high level. Right? And part of that is the way my brain works is when I figure out something and it's good, I like to double down. Some of you might have seen that over the years. So the reason I really want to stress this is it doesn't even matter what avenue, it's just your system and your process on how to get into it. I always say don't get attached to your immediate result, get attached to your process, because the results will come. Too many people don't try something once and it doesn't work and they move on. Well, I tried a short sale once, I didn't like it. Well, you know what? I liked it when I did 70, and I never worked a night or weekend.
Yeah. And let's touch on a little bit of generating short sale leads. With what's been going on the last 2 years, courts being closed, sheriff sales being non-existent, what do you think has happened now with all this backlog of homeowners that are in foreclosure? They're getting served, right? Courts are back open. Sheriff sales are going on again. And they're getting those sheriff sale dates. We actually looked at this with an agent the other day, showing them how to pull up sheriff sales and looking at the dates and looking at what closed already this year. There was dozens and dozens in just one town that closed already this year. So you have access to distressed homeowners, and you're offering solutions. They are listings, because they either list the house as a short sale, sell the house, buy themselves some time, possible relocation money, lower impact on their credit than a foreclosure. There's like a lot of good around that. And if they do nothing, what do they become? A foreclosure. And they get kicked out anyway. So these are valuable sellers that we just need to reach out to. Do you know what sub-industry of our industry that does an amazing job of reaching out to them because we don't do enough of it? Bingo.
Wholesalers.
Listing out
Continue here.
wholesalers, guys, they have created a sub-industry of our industry because we're not doing enough outbound. And I get it. I did a couple short sales. I was just like, listen, this is so labor intense. I could have been out with 2-3 buyers. I could have called some past clients. I could have cold called for sale by owners or expires and got some listings. So I get it. But if you create the systems around this, you can generate listings. And you're helping people. Like literally, we are a better solution than foreclosure. And one way or the other, they're going to get out that home. So this is a better alternative if you decide to go down this road.
So Olivier, you talked earlier about how you built a large listed inventory, and I remember it, and a lot of the agents in the East Brunswick office probably remember it when you were an agent in the office before partnered in Cranford.
Yep.
You worked with a lot of investors.
Yep.
A lot of investors. They all know you.
Yeah.
How did you build that? What did you do? How would somebody here listening replicate that?
So going back to that 2008 market, when everything was a short sale, foreclosure, market was down about 30% in equity, I had to learn the distressed market from a different angle than Carl, who was listing them. I sold 2 of your REOs. Never spoke to you.
I wish I could tell you I remember both of them.
But I unpacked real quick and learned that how do I get more listings? I either can go on a lot of listing appointments, or I can figure out the guys that are fixing, flipping, building new constructions, earn their business, show value, and from that, they will list their homes with me. So first and foremost, I had to learn how to find deals. I had to learn how to get through an REO deal. As is meant as is, navigating around oil tank issues, navigating around temporary COs, all the headaches that you have to deal with when you're selling a distressed property. Once I figured that out, I became an asset to these guys looking for properties. I lived on the hot sheet. It became my daily Bible that I would go on, find the distressed assets, send them to my group of investors. We would go out right away and make offers. I would get paid a small amount up front, knowing that the big reward comes on the back end with the listing. That was my goal to getting listings. As I said before, all of your sellers are buyers. All the sellers out there were once a buyer. So I realized, wait a minute, if I can catch them at the beginning phase, I'll get paid right away. How cool is that? Rather than throwing a ton of money at marketing, all I had to do was find them a property that's already on the MLS, get paid to do it, and then the listing's coming. So learning that, I winded up focusing on how to find distressed properties for my investors. I realized that if I do a good job, they become repeat business. It's almost like an account versus a client.
But Olivier, there's no deals today. There's none.
Good point, Carl. I think
I know people are thinking that right now.
I think that is just like saying there's no inventory. If you're not looking for the deals, if you're not being resourceful, you're not going to find them. They're not going to fall in your lap. But there's always deals. There's deals now. We as an industry need to just do more outbound. We need to be more creative. Example, we just talked about short sales. Those are all deals. And if we reach out to them, those are deals for your investors, for the market. Those are listings. If we do not, they become foreclosures. Then it's more competitive, right? But if you go after the short sale, what do you control? Starts with an I. Inventory, bingo, right? So there are always deals. Wholesaling wouldn't exist if there weren't deals out there. So there are deals. You have to be able to identify the deal. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But you have to be able to learn, let's just jump right into it. You have to be able to learn ARV. The hardest part of working with investors is you have to master ARV. Anyone not know what ARV is? After repair value? Because you have to be able to identify that house got listed for $350. Is it a deal or not? It's easy to identify the $100,000 ones, right? Or 200 in this market, 250. Everyone's jumping on those. But you have to identify that 350, can it be a 500? And if you know that the after repair, if it were updated, if it were renovated, it's worth X, you can spot the deals. I find deals in the MLS all day long, and agents are shocked. Well, how did you find that? It's listed. Because knowing the ARV and mastering that, I know that in Cranford, Hamilton, East Brunswick, it should be worth this. It's down here. There's a huge gap, and that's the equity piece that makes it a deal.
And Olivier, I have to give you credit. You are the master of the hot sheet. Talk a little bit about the hot sheet and how you leverage that.
Yeah, so back when I was in production, really finding properties, there weren't wholesalers. And that's another avenue. Wholesalers are good. Why? They're sourcing sellers, so you can find them that way. But what I did was strictly the hot sheet. I didn't mail to distress list. I didn't have an opportunity to cold call because I was busy enough. But what I did is every single morning, and I've trained this in my Cranford office. There's some agents that do it 3 times a day, and I'm like, whoa, it gets to be diminishing returns if you're going on there 4 or 5 times a day with your time. But every single morning, one of the first exercises I did was I would go on and look at all the new listings from the night before. Hey, that's competitive. People are running out to see the new listings. Back on the markets, I would then look at. And then price reductions. And I don't know why, I can't figure this out. Everyone ran towards the new listings. Whatever office I was in, whatever investors I was working with, they would all be calling me about the new listings. But something would get a price cut of $50K and no one called about it. No one noticed it. Something would come back on the market, and I guess the algorithm of it coming back on the market wasn't a new listing, so it wouldn't pop up on the third-party sites right away, and no one called about it. So I found a little niche that, hey, back on the markets and price reductions are as competitive as new listings, and that was my wheelhouse. That was my go-to. I just love the price reductions. These sellers are motivated. I just love the back on the markets. They just want to sell these. Let's get a deal done. And I did it every single day. A day off, on vacation. I couldn't miss the market. Because you miss the market, you miss the deal. You miss the deal, you're not an asset to your investor. And if you can find the deal, you find yourself a listing later on. So that was my daily process. If there was one thing I did, it was the hot sheet. And that's what helped me really find properties. Till today, it works, right? Especially today, I think. I think we're in a market now where the consumers drive the showings. The consumers are the ones that say, hey, Carl, I want to see this house. And the agents are like, great, let's go see this house. We're not as in control the way it was earlier on a couple years ago, where we would say, hey, Carl, we need to go see this house. The consumers want a window shop. But if you're living on the hot sheet and you're finding the deals and you're finding the stuff that's in their price point before they can, you're finding the price reductions, you're finding the back on the markets before it's hitting the third-party sites, you become an asset. And if you can master the hot sheet, you'll also learn ARVs. Only way I learned ARVs, I wasn't born, I didn't go to college for after repair value, but guess what? Through the hot sheet every day, I got to see the sale prices. Oh, Capes in East Brunswick are going for this. Oh, ranches in Hamilton are going for this. Colonials in Cranford are going for this. And what happened is it became muscle memory in my subconscious. I knew the values. And I got to a point where I would comp properties without comping properties. Oh, that's worth this, right? And my investors were blown away. And then they would challenge me on it, can you send me comps? And the comps were exactly what I said. And that was my asset to them, and that's what drew them to me. But the market shifted.
Olivier, how do you know the difference between someone who's an investor and someone who owns investment properties?
That's my favorite question. So with investors, guys, there's a big difference of someone that owns investment properties and that's not their primary means of income and they own 1 or 2 or they flip 1 property a year. When I say build a business with investors, I'm talking about the guys that this is their living. They know it equal or more than you because this is how they make their living and they have a portfolio. They don't work at the bank, the gas station, whatever. This is what they do for a living. There's nothing wrong with someone looking to buy an investment property, but that is not who your investor is. Your investor is someone that strictly does this and they live and make all their income by this.
Yeah, and I used to get a lot of calls from quote-unquote investors when I had a lot of REO listings and short sales, and I used to flat out ask them, how many properties have you purchased in the last 12 months? They're like, well, I don't want to tell you. They're like, I don't want to deal with you.
Yeah.
Right? How many did you buy? I bought 14, 15. To me, that was different than someone who goes, well, I'm looking. And funny enough, I had an email from someone I went to college with because he saw my name on an REO saying, I'm just dabbling my toe in this. I'm like, oof. Right? So you got to really know and be screened. And you can't be afraid to ask the question.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with someone looking to buy an investment property. You treat
Right.
them like a client.
Right.
But if you try to build a business around them, you become the property manager, you're at Home Depot, you're designing the place. That's not what you're doing. With an investor, they know what they're doing. They need you to maybe fine-tune things, but it's a beauty because they're decisive. They know what the product needs to look like. They just want your input. And I underlined ARV because that is what you need to learn. And then you have to learn the hot sheet because if you can find the deals, you're so valuable to them. So treat them like an account. Remember, it's repeat business. So you do have to go above and beyond. You have to accommodate them. But I'll tell you, one of the things that really blew my investors away, that got them to be loyal, is I provided luxury service and I treated all of these listings, no matter how bad the area or good the area, the same. And you have to show them what you're doing. These investors are making money and they know that listings are easy and they know that there's a dozen agents just waiting for the listing. Do brochures, do floor plans, take professional photos, write a description. Here's the kicker, send them the brochures. There's a little bit of ego, right? They want to see their product. They enjoy seeing the product. If you can do that, what happens is the investors are like, Olivier's earning his commission.
And if you've never read an Olivier Lewis description on the MLS, it is the best descriptions out there. It's true. People talk about it.
All jokes aside, so when I was an agent in Carl's office, he used to have meetings and like reading my descriptions out loud, embarrassing me, which is all good.
Because they were the best descriptions, though. And it just showed, it made Olivier stand out from the rest of the competition.
And to that point, which is true, I used to ask my clients and investors that would call me, how'd you find me? Why'd you call me? I would literally ask, like, why'd you call me? Because I always wanted to know what was working. You'd be surprised how many times, probably 3 to 4 times, people said, you write descriptions. These other agents, I don't know anything about the house. Like, there's just bad pictures. You're marketing yourself towards the next client. So I knew that, and I definitely marketed myself. But once you have these investors, same thing with builders, show them what you're doing, because they're writing big commission checks to you. And if you can show them, I can find you properties, I can do a great job marketing properties, and here's what I'm doing to earn my keep. One of the things I did that was it's not secret sauce, but I've talked about this. Whenever I took a listing, I'd Google it, and I would print out the listings on 10 different websites, Zillow, Realtor, Trulia, RE/MAX, and the competitors. All the other real estate brokerages, CB, KW, I would print it out and send it to them. Here's my marketing, I'm executing. Whenever there's a buyer looking for your criteria, they're gonna find it. And you know what that did as well? Showing them that I'm earning my commission. If any other agent got in their ear saying, we could sell your house, we could market it, what did the seller say? It's already on your website. Olivia, you guys are already marketing it. So what are you gonna do different? It diffused the whole, take it off the market. I'm gonna go with someone else is in their ear, but I showed value. That's what I mean by add value. Now, real quick, let's switch gears to buyers are future sellers. This came out last week. 75% of home buyers acknowledge some regret over recent home purchases. Guys, this is Inman last week. Huge number, 75% of buyers have some regret. Is now more than ever the most important time in our business to keep in touch with your past clients? Absolutely. What does that say? That says that they're not happy, and at some point, they're gonna be ready to sell. But if you guys don't keep in touch, if you guys don't add value, you're gonna miss the sale.
Real world, somebody moves out of Midtown Manhattan because they get to work from home, move into the suburbs, they have to go back to work, they start commuting. Do you think some of them might be thinking, oh, did I make the right decision? Right? And prices have gone up 20%. So, okay, it's more than what I paid for 2 years ago. Do I sell and go back?
Yep. So this is my favorite strategy. You know why? You don't know how to do the Google ads yet. Short sales is not your thing. You don't want to become a property manager for the REO banks, but you all have past clients. cost zero. But your time to follow up, your time to be consistent, your time to help them. Ask survey questions. One of my favorite questions to buyers, I call them sellers because if they're eventually going to sell, to buyers is, hey, this is on the 1-year anniversary that you should have in your Google Calendar, and you should be reaching out to congratulate them on the anniversary and not waiting for them to say it on Facebook. But when you call them, say, hey, would you buy the same house all over again? That's it, right? And when you get that no, there's a seller. You just have to help them. And if it's a yes, congratulate them. I'm so happy that you're happy in the home. If you need anything, I am here. But your buyers are sellers. We just have to be there through that relationship for when they're ready. Survey buyers, pay attention to life changes. Like Carl said, now they're like, I bought this in a rush. I was in a bidding war. Anyone ever buy something on eBay? No one? Everyone's Amazon these days? Okay, eBay. Have you ever overbid and you're like, why did I bid that high? Right? Because you get into the emotions. Buyers are there. It's like, I shouldn't have bought that home. And 75% feel that way. It's our job. These listings are there. We just have to keep in touch, help them, answer questions, and eventually you'll get the listings. So I think out of the 4 strategies here, that's obviously the easiest one for everyone to implement. You can't implement them all, guys. Pick one, really focus and double down on it. But if you want sellers, there's no magic pill. You got to do the work.
Okay. Did anyone learn anything new today? Care a little clap if you did.
Does everyone like the Carl and Olivier show? Should we do more of this and take it on the road?
I gotta get a new wardrobe if I do.
Get out of here.